Many former Muslims are now involved in efforts to convert believers in Islam to Christianity. CBN News hooked up with some of them as they linked up with other Christians at the Seattle Revival Center. They trained in how best to reach Muslims and then went out to do just that at Seattle's annual Arab Festival. For some reason, Christians think Muslims are particularly hard to witness to. But this group points out they have the exact same spiritual need as everybody else. The leader of Arabic Christian Perspective says dig into your own past and fears.
How we used to be not assured of our salvation, we used to be afraid of dying, and this is the same common ground that the Muslims have today, that they are not assured of their salvation, they're afraid of dying, but Jesus came to our life and changed our life. This is the story we need to tell them, that how Jesus changed my life and how he is able to change theirs too.
Kamal Salim came to America to recruit terrorists, but instead became a convert to Christ.
3 Christian men reached out to me and loved me unconditionally.
But many years before that, he was a terrorist even as a child.
I joined the PLO when I was 7 years old. Before that, I was with a group called the Muslim Brotherhood when I was 6 years old. I went to the assault camp when I was 7 years old. Went on my first mission when I was 7 years old. I became a recruiter when I was 7 years old.
He fought in many battles and wars against Christians in Lebanon, Russians in Afghanistan, Jews in Israel. But he ended up in America, recruiting new converts here.
First, you teach them Islamic teaching. And once it's embedded in their system, then you teach them how to use the gun.
George Saig agrees with Salim that Islam preaches violence.
When I see Surah 9:5, it talks about kill the Christian and Jews, the people of the book, wherever you found them. When I see Surah 9:29, also it's almost similar to that. There's over 140 verses in the Quran talk about killing.
Salim says don't buy everything you hear about Islam these days.
Muslims say we're people of peace. We worship the same God.
But what they're really taught...
Jews are pigs and monkeys. Jews, they must be killed. The rock will cry out, there's a Jew hiding behind me, come and kill him.
Muslims, they say, believe Christ was a mere man.
He didn't even die on the cross. He was lifted up and he's coming back and he will be a Muslim.
Arabic Christian Perspective hopes to open up many Islamic eyes when it holds a debate with Muslim apologist Nadir Ahmed in Anaheim, California, October 20th. Ahmed is raring to debate the key question, whether Islam is a religion of peace or terrorism.
Yeah, there's a lot of anti-Islamic propaganda, especially by Pat Robertson and CBN and places like that. And, I'm really shocked to see how evangelicals love to promote this idea that it's not a religion of peace.
Ahmed seems a natural for this debate. He runs his own website defending Islam.
I believe there's clear teachings to promote peace with non-Muslims. And those verses are not mentioned by these propagandists, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mention those verses.
But it didn't seem very peaceful when Muslims eavesdropped on our CBN News interview with Saig, then ripped into him for telling us Islam was not a religion of peace. They yelled and screamed he wasn't telling the truth, shouting down the former terrorist Salim as he tried to defend Saig. Meanwhile, Ahmed insists Americans misunderstand Muslims and key Islamic words like jihad, which means struggle.
Somebody's struggling with alcoholism, and he's trying to stay away from that. That's a jihad against alcohol.
But Saig says jihad almost always means bloody struggle. And Salim warns that right here in America, there are 45 Islamic assault camps where would-be terrorists train.
These are embedded in different states. Today, the recruiting ground is in prison system, high schools, universities, neighborhood.
It's to counter such efforts that Saig and his people are reaching out as quickly as they can to Muslims at Arab festivals like this one in Seattle and a recent one in Dearborn, Michigan, where dozens converted.
Praise the Lord that we have 42 Muslims came to the Lord.
These former Muslims insist Islamic people are not by nature violent. They totally blame the mayhem and terror pouring out of Islamic lands on the religion itself.
I really look at Osama bin Laden himself as a victim of Islam. My problem is not with Osama bin Laden. My problem is not with the Muslim people. My problem is the teaching of Islam, the teaching of Quran. Because this is what pushed Muslims to do what they're doing.
So while these Christians say that Islam itself may be a danger, they believe the Islamic people are as deserving of love as anyone else and can be just as open to Jesus. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from the Arab Festival in Seattle, Washington.